Mm. More. Drunkards and dragons, 6,000 strong. 6,000 lumpy-headed mutants who want to play D&D all night long. Some drink whiskey and others drink beer. We dwarves feel no fear. Start your campaign in a tavern or a jail. I always make my con save, 'cause I'm a for nail. Even when they crack my teeth in tea. I'll show up on the YouTube to hang out with you. Greetings, programs. It's Anchor and Fur and Ale here with another episode of Drunkens and Dragons, a live episode. How to play D&D like a big old badass. What's what we're going to do tonight. That's what we do every damn week at 8 o'clock on Tuesday. I don't know why. Because there's nothing else going on Tuesday. So I was just like, let's show up. Let's play more better than we used to. Now you have to pardon my mess. Woo. I'm neck deep in making some stuff here. So I figured I'd just keep working on it while we talk about the creative toolbox for players who want to make, play, and be cooler characters. All right, so I'm going to skip this ad so I can see that chat room. And there we are. All right. Hey, we're live. What you know about this? We blasted through that 6K thanks to you guys telling your friends. And God knows what other forces, because I don't tell anybody about this stuff. I don't advertise. I don't have a billboard. I should hire one of those guys, though, that stands out on the corner and spins the sign, and it could be like, watch Drunkens and Dragons, but which direction would it point? Anyway, 6,000 subs, totally awesome. Normally I would go a little crazier. We would be drinking like fiends tonight to celebrate, but some unfortunate news. Even I am mortal. I went to the dentist for a routine thing today, and this guy, I don't know if he like spec strength instead of agility, but he like cracked one of my teeth into two enormous pieces while he was doing his dentistry. It was a truly nightmarish experience. So I'm like on 700 milligrams of hydrocodone right now. So I don't think I'm going to be drinking any whiskey tonight, but I wasn't going to let you all down. So I ate some chicken soup with twigs. I got my dwarven strength up. Take that second win, get 3 hit points back, and here I am. What you know about that? So we're going to talk about the player character creative toolbox, and I'm going to try to not drool all over my work here. I was right in the middle of putting some pennies in the bases of these masts. But honestly, I don't know if taking narcotics and using a X-Acto knife at the same time is a very, very smart combo. Anyways, yeah, just make a X-Acto cut. Take a penny just like that. And then shove it in. Ooh, don't grit your teeth. Anyway, what it does is it bottom loads the weight on your styrofoam stuff so that they don't fall down. They become very super stable. In case you're curious, the idea is I'm making, instead of making, everybody makes a boat. But instead of just sculpting out a boat, I'm making sort of a set of boat terrain. So you've got your thulid tentacle here. You've got a couple of masts. You've got these things here, which are going to be cabins. And then I'm doing some stems as well. So we'll have some different stems you can put on the front. And then we'll get the masts going here and do the rigging. I got my twine. Do some, planks for the decking. Anyways, it's going to be great. But that is not what we're talking about tonight. And we're not talking about my dental problems. Because we dwarves, we're made out of wood over here. So I'm surprised he even had a tool that could crack a dwarven tooth, to be totally honest. Much less shatter the thing. Anyhow, welcome back to Drunkards and Dragons, everybody. Good to have you. All 47 of you, my usual crew, rolling up to get creative, have a couple things to drink, and think about D&D. All right? Now, what is all this? I don't know. I can't even read that. Carving up the poop deck. That's all I saw when I glanced over. And that's all I needed to see. I was completely sated. All right, so 6,000 subs. Hell yeah. While we're doing like the announcement section, all of the Daring and the Doomed has been shipped. So not only am I excited because that was an insane amount of work. Props go out to Twigs. She was the MVP, getting all those things labeled and shipped in the properness. Huge amount of work. That was crazy. Really makes you think twice about Kickstarter a little bit. But anyways, we got everything shipped on time as promised. So hell yeah, we go into a very small percentage of Kickstarter campaigns that actually ship on time just because of sheer hard work. So don't mess with dwarves. So we might be a little short tonight because frankly, I barely know which room I'm in right now. But I work ahead of time because I do my 20 minutes of prep. So I should be able to stay on task, right? That's the theory. You know, this is the first property of playing D&D like a big old badass. Show up. You know, there's always a million reasons not to do a thing in life. You got other things going on. You're tired. You did something else. You're low on gas. You're hungry. You're irritable. No, you know what you're going to do? You're going to make it a priority. You're going to show up. That's the first step. If you get past that, everything else is going to be fun. And I'll tell you, a lot of D&D, and you guys know what I'm talking about, succumbs to the not showing up. Can really slow things down and sometimes just make things just fizzle out into space. Nobody wants that. Yes, there's a cloaked message in what I'm saying right now for my players. Oh, Lord. It feels like this one time we were playing a punching game, and my buddy Dylan, he swung high, and he was going for like a haymaker on my shoulder and just popped me right in the jaw. It feels pretty similar. All right. Enough weeds. So we got 6,000 subs. We got the Daring and the Doomed is completely shipped. T-shirts and books are selling great. So we're actually on target maybe to do a little bit of growth in 2016. So that is bad as hell. Maybe I can get something more impressive than a piece of styrofoam on a string that holds up a 3x5 card. Unless you guys are totally groovy with the styrofoam on the string. So holy shit, what's going on? What are we talking about? I'm continually disoriented, but it's okay. I'm just going to turn it into surprise and delight. All right. All right. We're talking about players for once. Everything on Drunkards and Dragons is about dungeon mastering, right? Now, this is definitely selfish bias on my part because I'm a dungeon master almost all the time. I actually think a lot of the folks I play tabletop with would be fine dungeon masters, but I'm not going to egg them on to do it. They got to come to the table and say, I want to do it. So most of the time I wind up being the dungeon master because I have some kind of disorder. It's dungeon masterosis. You need to not cure that because I like that disorder. It's adult hyperactive dungeon master disorder. There we go. Sorry that took so long. Man, you really can feel the effects of the narcotics. No wonder I don't take these things regular. Like I lost like 25 IQ points. I needed those points. How am I going to make the saves? Okay. We're talking about player characters for once in a fragging blue moon. Now, who cares about rotten characters, you ask? Well, hey, everybody here gets a chance to play in a campaign now and again, even if you're usually a dungeon master. And I think a lot of people who enjoy the channel, even though they just listen to me yammer endlessly on about being a dungeon master, are actually mainly players. So we get a lot of questions like we did last week about like, how do we make cooler players? You got to have something to say that's interesting or at least mildly entertaining about character classes, tips to make it more fun or rejuvenate it. Remember, like a lot of you guys and ladies who watch the channel are not looking for like, how do I play D&D? But you also have been playing for ages and you're just looking for a shot in the arm. You know, you're just looking for a update. Something to rejuvenate the whole experience. And that's why I got to make sure I show up every Tuesday, even when I'm half conscious, because I just want to show like it can be made a priority. You can keep trying. You can keep pushing. It's just like anything you want to be badass. Just keep doing it. There's no such thing as talent. It's all practice. Everything is practice. The only talent the good Lord gave you is breathing. All right. So that you got for free. The rest you're going to have to work for. How to roll a character and make it cool. All right. I got a couple of basic rule, and then we're going to just go through the classes, man. Screw it. Now, races, pick whatever you want. Do whatever you want. We're not going to talk about it here. The only one I have feelings about is gnomes. I can't stand gnomes. It's because of them we have this economy. Everybody else, rock on, be a race. They're easy to play. They can get tropey at times. Ooh, sorry, I'm not going to play the drinking game. It's up to you guys. You're going to have an extra one for me. I swear, if I take a shot of that, it'll probably go right through my liver and leave a hole like Wyatt Earp shot me, and I'll just drop. I didn't even know they made hydrocodone in a 365. Like, that's just too much. All right. Pick your race. Great. Rock on. Now it's that moment when you want to choose your class and you start thinking about maybe there's a backstory and stuff like that. You guys know me. I'm always about start simple and don't overthink things, right? And that especially goes for making a character. A lot of people, when they're creating characters, often get fixated on the past or on the setup or on premises or gimmicks, and none of them ever pan out past the first 15 minutes of gameplay. Either they're forced, they're unnatural, they're hard to role play, they just don't read, people don't like them. It never even comes up. That's the worst one, is like, I have this whole cool backstory, and by the way, it's completely irrelevant. Somebody would be like, oh, let me guess, orcs burned your village. Hey, why I oughta, you stinking village burning orcs. Just like a lot of things that I pretend to know stuff about on the channel, I'm the same with making characters. Don't get fixated in the past and some kind of, artificial story construction. Focus on action. It's a lot like life, man. You don't walk around and get a bunch of free coupons because you happen to grow up on the nice side of town. No. And the opposite is true too. Just because you grow up in the trailer park doesn't mean that you're like, some kind of guy with like a pickup that barely runs who's like trying to pay for his grandma's cancer surgery and all those stereotypes. Neither set of stereotypes applies. Everybody's got to work for everything they got. And that is how your player character is going to be too. It's not about what happened in the past. It's what happens from this moment forward. Okay, so you do a little bit of, roll up your stats and whatever. Okay, I'm not interested in that part. And we're ready to get into the classes. So what's the first class in the book? I do believe it is the Barbarian. So if you get your player's handbook out and page 40-ish, jump in there and you'll see that class chart. You can read along like a good student, like Pink Floyd when he was 7 years old. He was a very good student. He had a little black book with his player characters in. Bring. Doesn't really fit the song. Okay, anyway, Barbarian. How are you going to be a cool barbarian? All right, first rule when it comes to rolling a barbarian, just roll a fighter. Barbarian is another one of these things they put in the game which makes it seem like there's more game. But really, you're just a fighter who's just sort of specialized into like screaming and chopping. Now, this doesn't mean don't be the barbarian character you're visualizing. It's what character are you rolling mechanically? You want to roll a fighter. Don't be like saying this unarmored armored rule. It's like, well, I'm a barbarian, so I have armor just like everyone else. It's just that I don't wear a shirt. And that's worth having a class? I don't think so. Negotiate with your DM. Say you have a magic tattoo. The tattoo grants you armor. Or cooler yet, be a real barbarian like Conan. Conan, if he didn't have armor on, he didn't get the armor bonus on. And then in other scenes, in other stories, he's got the armor on and he gets the armor bonus. Be a man or woman barbarian and accept the consequences of running around with no shirt on. If you got no shirt on and you still get the armor bonus, you are not cool. You're just a side shoot of game design. Okay, next one. Oh, this is the tough one. Okay, this is where we get into life is about what you do, not where you came from, right? I've seen a lot of people roll up a barbarian and then they basically play like Sherlock Holmes with a sword. Or they'll roll up and they'll want all the gold. Or they'll come up and they want magic items. Or they want to jump out in front of the group and be all rah. Go do your homework. Those aren't barbarians. Barbarians are distrustful. They're feral. They're quiet. Their trust is hard earned, but then very, very strong. Their loyalty is mighty, but very, very hard earned. And also, barbarians prove their guts and their mettle and their worth in subtle, courageous ways that win people over time. Every time you meet a barbarian, first off, you're like, oh my God, this guy? Seriously? Like no deodorant, bad haircut, barely says anything, and is confused generally by the stuff we encounter. But then a few encounters in, you realize like this guy's got real gusto. He's always there when I need him. He comes through. He's kind of selfless in a badass way. He's not greedy. He's hardworking, you know, and like, so this is where I get this bullet point here, man. You want to be a barbarian? Just roll a fighter and then prove it. Prove through your actions that you can actually imagine, role play, and be a barbarian. And I mean the good kind, like Conan, man, like the Numidians, like the Cimmerians. These are honor-bound wild men who are not impressed by the trappings of civilization. And it's not a simple, coarse character type. It's not, I do shit tons more damage and I scream all the time. No, that's not a barbarian. That's just dumb. All right, next one, Bard. What y'all know about bards? Bards are cool. Everybody loves them. They are the source of endless mirth. But my first tip on a bard, keep the humor meta. Now, I've talked about this before. When the humor is built into the game, it is way less funny. Like when you make an intentionally comical bard, right? My bard, you know, looks like Steve Buscemi, but he has 3 arms and he plays an electric lute. And, you know, his name is Kurt Cobain and, you know, all this shit. And that's in the game. It's not nearly as funny as you just make a straight-laced bard, keep him, you know, period. You know, he has like a lute or a hurdy-gurdy or a war drum. He's got a fantasy name. He's a normal race. You know, he's straight-laced. But then all the funniness of having a bard in your group is meta. It's all in the group at the table, not in the world. It's just like Thundar the Barbarian, man. Like I've said before, the show was totally serious. That's what made it so damn funny. Follow the same rule and you'll have a good bard. Try to make a comical bard, you'll fall on your face. You'll fail the charisma roll. Okay, second one is tough to follow, and I see a lot of bards that don't do this one. Stick to altruism. The best bards are supporters of others and chroniclers of others. Now, they can be heroes in themselves, but the great ones, the ones that matter, that people respect, they're altruistic characters who support the party. It's not easy to truly play a support class because you want to jump out and take the spotlight. But I'll tell you, over time, people love truly altruistic characters. They love them. It shows a depth of character. It shows maturity, a lack of selfishness. And everybody just learns to love this guy. And also, he happens to be a chronicler. So when you come into town or whatever, the bard is telling everyone how cool you guys are. And that makes everybody love him all the more. Rather than the bard who wants to jump out front and be like, hey, you guys, look at all this weird OP bard stuff. Not cool. Finally, notes is my third bullet point. What does that mean? This is more just a style preference and a pro tip, I suppose. But the great bards during gameplay are constantly taking micro notes about what happens, because that's what the bard does in the game. And you as the player are going to do a killer job if you're just keeping little details in your little, you know, journal there, your little bard's journal, that you get to reshare with the group over and over, or maybe form into limericks or form into songs. Last time we had a mind flare on my face. Then we moved 5 spaces to another place. But one of us was mind controlled, and so he stuck me in the ribs. We turned to the mind flayer, cast a fireball, and he burst into burning gibs. That was way too many syllables, but it's okay. It recounted what happened last session. So by all means, make a bard. I would say that probably the most important tip is to keep the humor meta. In-game humor just comes off as very gimmicky, very forced, and very like making fun of the game. And that's not cool. Don't make fun of things. You don't want to get made fun of. Why should you make fun of other things? All right, next up, we got one of my all-time favorites, the cleric. Clerics are great, very versatile. You really need one in almost every group. They can bring a fun tone. Turning undead is one of the most classic mechanics in the entire game. This first bullet point for making and sustaining a cool cleric is a bit esoteric, bit esocleric. Wow, that is bad. That is really bad. So it's a bit esocleric, but the bullet point is faith, not God. Now, a lot of, I don't know why this is, but so many RPG books get all hung up on which gods are which and all their stupid descriptions, and no one ever remembers it in gameplay. The fun and detail of being a cleric is about your faith, not about the god. Your faith is a rising and falling of your ability to believe. It's a rising and falling of the power you draw from your faith. You're not God with a shield. You're a mortal person who isn't sure that it's even real. But then magical, miraculous acts happen and your faith is bolstered. And that faith can be transferred to the other characters in your group. And that is when a cleric is the coolest. And that is why I come to my second point, which is consider the term priest for your cleric. Priest has a lot more fascinating connotations. Cleric has become such an overused fantasy trope. Ha! Drink, suckers. It's so overused that it's lost a lot of its meaning. You don't see men or women of the cloth and say, oh, look, that cleric, man, very respectable. No, you say priest, or pastor, or whatever. Ow, this thing hurts. So I think priest is going to give you this tone that's going to give the cleric much more of a healer, a bolsterer, a supporter, a friend to man, so to speak, a symbol of goodness. And that's where you're going to find the magic that's going to last, not in making this kind of over-exaggerated, super shiny, whoa, you know, Ash from Evil Dead type character. Keep it simple. Let the humor be outside the game and think about the faith and how it rises and falls. All right, next up, we got the ever controversial and often misunderstood, the Big D. Oh, yeah, the Druid. All right, everybody loves a good Druid, right? So what's my first one? I know you just had a shot of Jameson and now you got to have another one. Don't get troped. The term Druid has also been co-opted by the fantasy community, probably mainly because of Warcraft. But a Druid has become this sort of pointy-eared, sticks in your hair, running around, long foot, blue skin freak show with like a oak leaf bikini and just like, what is happening? You're going to get a lot of wealth in your Druid if you think about the historical term of the Druid. This is basically a super advanced farmer. This is someone who knows where to get mushrooms. This is someone who knows how to grow tomatoes in the wild. This is someone that knows where all the foxes are sleeping. Okay, that came off a little weird. I mean actual foxes like La Renaud. So don't just accidentally make this overpowered, overly versatile green wizard. It's just not going to pan out. It'll be cool at moments, but like so many of these other things, if they're just made on gimmicks, they just don't have the wealth that's going to make them last and that's going to make other players remember and love them. So think in terms of a traditional Druid and think in terms of a detail-oriented Druid. And this is where I get my second bullet point, which is plants. Now, I know the Druid has a lot of different capabilities: regeneration, animal form, plants, right? Plant stuff. And then the spells that a druid has reflect those groups too. But the plants to me are the unique domain of the druid. There's animal stuff going on in ranger. There's spell casting and healing in cleric and wizard, right? But the plant element, the plant theme is truly unique to druids. And so my advice is to take that and run with it. Now there's a million forms it can take, all the way down to our arch druid, the priestess of the Cathedral of Lork, Twigs, who has a green tentacle for one arm that's like some kind of a vine tentacle thing. Like it's the plantiness has gone completely out of control. She plants magic seeds on gravestones and flowers grow there for 100 years. Like, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's good stuff. Combat details, hey, whatever. It's this other stuff that really makes characters, players remember and love you. So make a druid. It'll be cool. You know who is a druid is Merlin. He's not a wizard. He's totally a druid. But then when he gets that like shiny metal cap, more of a wizard. All right. Next up. Oh, man. It doesn't get any more timeless, grassroots, or ultimate than the F-bomb, the fighter. Why am I such a big fan of fighters? The fighters is the roots of the game. It is the foundation of the mountain. It is the well from which the river of D&D drinks. And I believe that you could easily have a campaign where everyone starts as fighters and is not allowed to progress into any other class capabilities until they have fighter well in hand, like 3rd level. Learn the basics, making saves, using weapons, collecting armor, getting hurt, right? Running around. You're just a person. Basically, a fighter is just a person. And I think that's what's so brilliant about it. Now, in different editions of D&D, they have added some stuff like Second Wind and other things like that, Action Surge, whatnot, that the fighter can use to be more of a tank. But to me, really, fighter is just someone that's happy when they find a sword, excited when they can upgrade armor, gets armor destroyed, and then is just a person again, just a trained fighter, an adventurer. I really think you can do anything with this class. And this is why it's so interesting. It's gimmick free. And the freedom from gimmicks is what can make fighters so great, because they're not interesting in the beginning, because no one should be interested in the beginning. It takes time. Your actions determine how interesting you are, not your gimmicks. And the fighter is the poster boy for that type of thinking. You guys knew I was going to say that, though. Now, I'm sure a bunch of stuff is going on over there. Great. It's all I can do to concentrate on what I wanted to get through tonight. Okay, the monk. First bullet, no. No monks. This is not like a martial arts min-maxing demonstration of human capability. Monk is contrived and forced its way into the game. You want to be a guy who's kind of does some unarmed combat and wears a robe and like some orange pants? Roll a cleric and don't wear armor. Get monks out of my game. I don't want them in there. If I have a player who's really set on it, we'll work something out, but I don't want any of the game mechanics of monks in my game. They're silly. Next up, paladin. No. No paladins. Paladin to me is another exaggerated, gimmick-driven trope shit. Drink. A trope-built class. Oh, shit. Well, they're taking that's definitely predates video games by quite a ways, but again, has been a little bit co-opted by video games as a term. You want to be a paladin? Roll a cleric. Be a nice grassroots class and play the paladin. The paladin is the righteous one. The paladin is the leader, the pillar of certainty, right? That's a paladin, not necessarily someone with all these other capabilities. Now, once again, if you have a player who really wants to be a paladin, I'm flexible. I will negotiate. Let's talk about what about it you like, and let's make something cool rather than this like overpowered, self-healing sort of blowhard that everybody winds up making fun of. So I'd have to say, roll a cleric, man. Just get yourself a cool shield with a lion on it. Bang, you're a paladin. All right, next up. Remember, too, this isn't like best practice, you guys. I'm not an instructor, and I don't know anything more than anybody else knows. These are just my opinions. These are just what I think after playing D&D a while. There's plenty of arguments to be had over every topic here. Rangers. Everybody loves Rangers. I don't know about you guys, but Rangers to me, absolute core to D&D, a lot like a fighter. This is just the archer version. Now, in different versions, you do get a pretty damn powerful Ranger. We had that Ranger guest star a ways back, and she was mega powered. Granted, she did get devoured by maggots while being mind controlled by a dragon. But up to that moment, she was totally awesome. Okay, 2 questions with a Ranger. First of all, are you really just a druid? Sometimes Rangers accidentally become like nature magicians who also have a bow and arrow and do animal things. Did you really just intend to make a druid? And then what's the difference really? Well, I think that the difference really takes in that a Ranger does not really dwell in the magic realm as much as a druid. So if you're really into the magic, druid is a much more magical word and evocative of magic. A Ranger to me is my second bullet point here, is evocative of being a scout, of being ahead, of being hidden, of spotting, of investigating, of tracking. Those are the far more essential Ranger qualities. So how do you exploit those over time to make a lasting character? Well, you emphasize them rather than just being like a damage fountain. Now, being a damage fountain is pretty fun, but remember, every time you want to hog the spotlight as the Lord of all damage doing, you're going to take away some of the love and the fun for the game that the other players are also trying to grab after, right? So the Ranger has a great opportunity to be a support class, but in a very different way from, say, the Bard or a Cleric. It's a support class for information. And that is an awesome burden. So a thing that you can roll is a high dexterity, high wisdom Ranger. That way you move around and you're very keen. And this is why the key word to me is scout. The Ranger is the scout and is the most fun in the game when they take that role. Now, hell yeah, I want somebody to fall back and then do a shit ton of damage because they're a Ranger. Yes, I want that, but that doesn't drive the role playing and the detail of the character. That's just a coincidental fuck yeah. All right, so that's my Ranger note. Oh, and then we got, another all-time favorite, grassroots class, the Rogue. Man, everybody loves Rogues. Some of the greatest characters of all time. I love the Gray Mouser. Is that what his name is in the Lankmar books? Totally awesome. The character Sparrow from my book is just completely built on a centerline D&D Rogue. Super fun. But the first rule of rolling a Rogue, it does not give you a free ticket to be a dick. Just because you're Rogue doesn't mean you get all the shit. You get to do opposed skill checks with your own party members and be a jerk. Don't do that shit. Be a good guy. Cooperate with your friends. Help them. But be a Rogue. Disable the traps for your friends. Not so you can reactivate them and run off and get the treasure while they cope. Don't be a dick. It's funny once, and then the group hates you. And the group also will not last because of your shenanigans. Now, if it's just every once in a while, it has to be done. I know what it's like to have adult attention dungeon master's disorder. I can't remember what wow. I am hanging by an intellectual thread here, my friends. Okay, so don't be a dick. And then the other piece of advice I have to make a lasting Rogue is don't just wind up being a fighter. Don't just have all the swords and all the knives and all the bows and arrows and just like, behold, motherfuckers. Use the stealth. Use the trap component. Be tiny. Be hidden. Be in a nook and a cranny. Use gymnastics. Now, when the time comes, just like the Ranger, hell yeah, backstab that bitch. You know you want to, but don't make it the defining element. Because again, it doesn't focus on your unique cognitive role in the team. It's more like, look at me, backstab bitches, right? You want to be the guy that when all hope is lost and there's nowhere to go, oh, he's already over there in the little cranny and he's got a rope. We're saved. Well done, Rogue. The word rogue does not just mean evil a-hole who's greedy. So don't be that way. It's not cool in real life and it's not cool in D&D. All right. Now we've got a brief but flippant section about spellcasters. First of all, we got the sorcerer. Yeah, the sorcerer. No, don't be a sorcerer. Sorcerers belong in 4th edition and other games. Warlock. You're just a wizard with a bad outfit on. You're just Trent Reznor, and you're drawing from the same spell list as a damn wizard, and you have that Crown of Madness ability, which is a DM I would happily give to a wizard. And that leads us to the real class, and this goes back into the fundamental 4 right here. Wizard. Yes, we all love wizards. They're great to have in your group, absolutely essential. What are the tips that are going to make him Gandalf quality, Raceland quality? Ooh, what made those wizards so memorable and so badass? Well, rule number 1, knowledge is more important than power. Knowledge is cooler than power. And this is a motivating factor you can use when you make your wizard, rather than just craving this, right? That's power. But this is knowledge. You see how much cooler that was? Versus, And other players are going to like you when you go, and they're not going to like you when you go, So when your wizard is trying to grow, he wants to know things. He wants to know spells. He wants to know the planes. He wants to know monsters. He wants to know ancient architecture and ancient languages. Now, through these means, he becomes terribly powerful. But his thirst for knowledge is what makes him good, for one thing. A wizard who craves only power is inevitably evil. So it keeps him good. And secondarily, it keeps the game interesting. Because again, damage fountains are not characters. They're just damage fountains. They're just number piles. You want to be interesting. What's interesting about your knowledge? And this is what leads me to my next point, which is secrets. All great wizards have secrets. And I mean literal secrets that only you and the DM get to share. And the more, the better. The secret can be about where you come from, your alignment. You have knowledge of the future. Maybe you have knowledge of the enemy. Maybe you have knowledge of another player character that's terrible and can't be revealed. Maybe you have secrets about some equipment that's being carried, or about a spell that's going to be used, or a quest that's being undertaken that you can't tell the group for reasons X, Y, Z. And in that dilemma is a wonderful role-playing challenge that gives the wizard this role of the keeper of knowledge, because secrets are the ultimate form of knowledge. Why is that? Because knowledge is power when it's secret. And that's how you create that confluence of knowledge and power. Now, when the time is right, you've got to open up the book, reveal the big secret, and there's a moment at the table of just like, what? Did you know that all along? You're such an asshole. I hate you. Finally, and this is a very mechanical request, speed. The wizard has to be the fastest, most experienced D&D player at the table, period. Maybe even more so than the DM, or he is a bane. Everyone has seen the memes about the, giraffe sitting in the rocking chair while waiting for the wizard to choose his spell. Or another one is the chameleon who's like, walking up the railing, and it says like, this is, me waiting for the wizard to choose his spell. Pick the slowest thing you can imagine, and that's you waiting for wizards to choose their spells. Now, there are solutions, index cards, rolling boxes that help you sort your effects, knowing your shit, doing your homework between sessions as a wizard, keeping it all cleaned up and usable. Milo knows what's up on this front. It's overwhelming. In 5th edition with slots and everything, it's even more detailed and crazy. And when you can use it well, fantastic. But it's time-consuming, time-consuming, time-consuming. Do not eat the table time. Everybody drove out from God knows where and brought like 40 bags of Doritos, and they didn't do that just so they could sit there and watch you try to figure out how to do your spells. So if you want to play a wizard, you've got to play fast, and that means doing lots of homework and almost as much prep as the DM. All right, so do me a favor and do that. People will love you as a wizard if you don't eat up all their time. This thing needs some pennies in it. That's all I got. So it's not like the end of the world, how to make a perfect character, or how to do everything you ever imagined kind of talk, but I do think it covers some of my basic tips about what I've seen players do that don't just make, epic characters that kill everything, but characters that people remember, and most importantly, characters that people really love. So that's my advice right there. I'm not sure everything everybody said, but whoa, we got 75, 77 lumpy-headed weirdos in the room right now, so that's great. Good to have you all. Nice to be dungeon mastering for you here on a Tuesday night. Somehow it's only 8:30. I sure could use a drink. Good Lord. Hey, Twigs, are you on the stream? No, she's in another dimension. She's in the ethereal plane with all the phase spiders that are laying their eggs there. Ugh. I'll tell you, man. Narcotics, YouTube, Zacto knives, they just don't mix. All right, let's get off of my freaking crazy rant horse here for just a second and take a look at what you guys are saying, like what's up in your world. Yeah, thanks for that. L.A. Jackson, please do drink from you guys. You know, there's nothing that I want more than a tall, cold beer right now. I'm telling you, dear Lord, my jaw is just like cracking. But I think 700 milligram plus alcohol, probably not a good idea. Okay, what do you think about Monty Cook's cipher system? Man, I don't know a damn thing about it. That sounds fascinating. I got to do some homework. Thanks for the question. Hey, look, there's some strange astral force bringing me a Warcraft mug. Thank you, O Druid. Looky there. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Sweet nectar of the earth. Artesian wine, we call it. Anyway, drink more of the dragon's blood. Joey, I cannot tonight. I think I will die if I drink any of that stuff. That is the strongest shit I've got in the house. So you're going to have to wait till next week, and I promise we're going to hit it double hard. I'll probably have like a titanium jaw by then. It's going to be awesome. Multi-class. Yeah, a couple people talking about multi-class. Multi-class is cool if your group is absolutely rocking like docking with basic classes and basic like gameplay, new monsters every week and fun dungeons, and it's not enough for your group because you've been playing long and you're all experienced, then hell yes, do multi-class. A good group where everyone's doing their homework and keeps their sheets real tidy and plays really clean D&D can definitely handle multi-class. But I got to say, that is the vast minority of groups. Multi-class will generally bog your game down, will get accidentally overpowered, and all kinds of silliness can happen. And a lot of times won't add any role-playing depth to the game. And in that regard, I often won't abide a thing. It's got to add something that really matters and is fun. Yep, you're going to multi-class that paladin monk and just be a max rather than a min-maxer. You're just a maxer. Greg Spiller, hey, what's up? Yeah, good to hear a kindred soul out there. Just remember, too, you guys, like everything I say is a little bit extreme and condensified for the sake of us just getting through the subject matter, right? When you're actually at the table and you're working with your players who are your friends, you know, you're not an a-hole about all this stuff. These are just guidelines of things that I've seen happen that I love. And I've seen examples that are directly opposed to this be super fun too. But these are like guidelines to the things that have really been memorable to me since playing, you know, back in the 80s. Why is it you find the paladin a bad choice when compared to the cleric? Yeah. Jason Coutinho, man, that is deep and true what you're saying. The cleric does have a much earlier power ascension. I think probably it's just that I see the cleric as very classic D&D class, and the paladin to me feels like a later addition. It feels like let's make a hybrid kind of super fighter paladin or cleric guy that's also a damage guy that's also, and it just gets spastic to me. I really think there could be maybe 5 classes in the game and it would be good to go, and the rest is left up to character customization and player improvisation and role playing, rather than continually adding prestige classes, multi-classes, gimmicks upon gimmicks upon gimmicks. I think generally they're mechanisms that the game designers use to continue to press monetization in game systems. Rivertine, Hankerin, do you personally award XP or do you just have the players level up periodically? We will usually do a procedure called the reaping at the end of a session where I will award XP, and also we'll do loot table rolls. It's really fun. But I got to say, the only original thing that I have to say on this subject, the only real contribution that you guys really should try in your game, this is revolutionary, absolutely love it in our games, and it's a very new development, is player awarded XP. So at the end of a good milestone, not the end of a session, but a milestone, let your players democratically, without your input, decide on someone who gets like 1,000 to 3,000 bonus XP. Now, this is a shit ton of XP, a shit ton. This would be like your share for dropping a vampire, right? But you're going to let the players decide who really nailed it. And not just, who did all the damage and shit, but who was clutch. And it's so fun, the power that is gained by doing that, not only in the moment of the awarding of XP, but then in the future affectation of behavior, because you know that your players have one of the biggest XP booties in the whole, that's a nice big XP booty, in the whole game. And so you don't work against them. You want to work with them. And that is a great, great behavior to encourage. So I do award XP. Sometimes we do it at random moments. Usually we do it at a good milestone moment. We level up offline, not at the table. Unless, of course, you're playing Mokhtar, then everything's very different. But we're not here to talk about that quite yet tonight. Let your players decide who gets the extra. Yeah, that is correct, L.A. Jackson. Let the players dish out the final biggest reward of XP to one player. It's great because it's a moment of forced altruism and a moment where the table dynamic completely takes the spotlight and the DM steps back. It's a fantastic effect. Yeah. Isn't a shit ton the same as any other material ton? Draw off. It is as far as overall weight and mass, but there's one key difference. It's shit. So it's a ton you definitely don't want. We want Mokhtar. Hey, Nick the Rat, by the way, grats on you getting your game. Really glad that got to you in a timely fashion. Namaste. Mokhtar is the custom RPG that me and Cyrus are building from the ground up right now. And I got to tell you guys, I'm super excited. The playtesting is killing it. And there's a ton more treats that come with it. This is going to be the definitive print and play Paper Crafters game. It is so badass. I'm so excited, but you're going to have to wait a couple more months until we're ready to pull the David Copperfield cloth back. And boom, there's no Statue of Liberty. That example got really weird. So, Hank, do you kind of put the kibosh on prestige classes? Yeah, Jason Coutinho, good question. I really haven't reached the point where I have to put the kibosh on them because, as you mentioned, generally we like to move on to other things, by 9th level or so. Either a new campaign, new set of characters within the same campaign, a new game system, maybe take a few months off, whatever. I've always found it really hard to just keep plodding along into the highest levels. I honestly think that some of the fear and excitement of the game starts to decay a little bit. And no matter how great your game is too, not any kind of bag on D&D. I think it's like, you ever do like a beer trivia night with your friends? Like, let's say it's every Monday, right? After about 25 of them, you're kind of like, oh man, it's Monday. I have to go drink beer and play trivia again, right? There's nothing wrong with drinking beer and playing trivia. It's just, you can't do the same things again and again and again and again, except go to the gym, eat good food, and love the people around you. Those things you can do every damn day. Yeah, well, except on rest day, which is when you also are mean to everybody and don't eat or eat cheeseburgers. I don't know what I'm talking about. Chris Marshall, hey, you're a newcomer to the channel. Good to have you. Haven't seen you around. Welcome to Drunkards and Dragons. Fuck yeah, play like a big old badass, baby. I wanted to play an RPG, so I got 4E. Then I got Pathfinder Beginner. Ooh, that beginner set's real nice. I started a game for someone, new players, and I used a lot of Hank's easy to RPG tips. Will I need to commit to a game? Hey, man, sounds like you're playing a hybrid of 4E and Pathfinder. You got new players. You're new to it all. Dude, just fucking rock on. Butcher that shit. Do it your way. Just explore, man. When you're, mid-level, 5, 6, 7 level, take some time off, have a tribunal. Tribunal is where you don't play, but you still invite everyone over. Talk about how it's going. What do you want to do? What do you want to change? Should we change the game? Should we change your characters? Do you want to be the DM? But don't get a game going. Strictly tribunal. And definitely you want to bring out the alcohol for that one so you get some honest opinions. Jason Ryder, definitely use inspiration as a reward for a lot of things since it's just a lightweight reward. Use that thing 20 times a night. But really good role playing. I'll always throw down a bonus 100 on a note and award that later. I've been wanting to ask something. Oops, the World of Runehammer. I lost you. Hang on. Scrolling. I've been on what note should you end a session? Boy, that's a great question. Well, I would advise against the Game of Thrones method. Don't do cheesy, overly shocking cliffhangers. A little bit of a cliffhanger is nice, but don't be like, you know, and he's the bad guy. See you guys next time. That's dumb. Conversely, don't end your session with like, you're all sleeping soundly in your beds. Okay, see you next time. It's kind of like, well, is that the end? You want a little bit of both. And generally, I like to not leave in the middle of a dungeon. That's just, if avoidable, try to avoid that because it's hard to remember all the context and the drama. So you at least need a moment's rest. And I would think of it like a point between chapters in a story. It's not a point between books. That's too conclusive. But you don't have to be all trolly and like have some kind of guy dangling from one finger and then call the session. That's not cool. Let it settle a little bit and then reintroduce for the next chapter. How do you grant your additional abilities that are outside the class structure? I'll tell you how. Like a big old badass, man, like a baller. Just do it. Do what the story and the characters and you want. Fuck what's in the book and what's supposed to be, man. You got a rogue who wants to have a heal spell? Fine. But it's got to make sense in the game. How does he come across it? How does he learn the arcane language to read that spell? And then he tries it, and for several attempts, he fucks it up and actually hurts people, hurts himself. But eventually he gets it, and boom, you've got a low-level cleric heal on your rogue. And just work through those ideas with your players, man. But it doesn't matter what the preset structures are. Look at the human race. Look at all the variety. Look at all the intercombinations that break every stereotype and expectation imaginable. Should be the same way for rich and engaging characters. The imagination should be the only limit. Don Forged. If Hank isn't able to get to your question, feel free to shoot it to me or ask a DM show on Saturday. Hey, Don Forged, thanks, man. If you guys haven't checked his show out, go do it. He does all kinds of stuff, and he's a very soothing individual. He's got a different style than I do. I tend to get all agitated. He keeps it nice and steady. I respect that. Just like old Hair Pink over at Cult Moon, man. Oh, he keeps it nice and steady. That's why he can drink a gallon of Guinness at a time. What area do like you run your Renaissance, Dark Ages, Ancient Room? Jason, again, what era? I invent my own era. It's somewhere between the Conan books and the Sword Coast stuff. It's probably mostly drawn from second edition. Second edition is where I really found my harmonic love of the game. Also, some of the original AD&D modules, like Lost City and Castle Amber, whatever, you know, those heavily influenced how I built my world. The original Ravenloft. And my worlds always return to a lot of the similar stereotypes and classic sensations of those, you know, Lord of the Rings naturally. But most of all, Conan. Conan, I think, is just, oh, it's so tasty and raw and has a Lovecraft element to it. Stuff like that. Mud and Horn was amazing. Oh, Chris, hey, I'm glad you finished the book. Glad you enjoyed it. Please pass it along. Give me a review on Amazon or in some other way help me tell people about it because I have no idea how to promote books. I'm a complete noob. What is paper crafting? Oh man, Don Forged. Paper crafting is a way for me to hint at the fact that we are going to take the print and play concept behind RPGs and take it to the moon. We are I think you guys can probably use your imaginations. It's wonderfully innovative, but very simple. It's going to bring a whole new element to your game, which is not just that you buy it, learn it, and play it, but you make it. And there's a lot more to the suchness and satisfaction of the game when there's a making component, a crafting component. And I think open-ended crafting, like that this is a thulid hull tentacle, can be a little much for your average DM or player. But if the crafting is part of the product, I think it's like everyone can get into it. Dads who DM for their kids can get into this stuff. It's just going to be fantastic. We even have papercraft dice, yo. So we are all the way in La La Land. We're also planning on a big box copy with all, awesome stuff. But also we want to really, really deeply serve the print and play community, because I think it's a huge underappreciated community. And print and play is often treated as some kind of a sort of a low-cost alternative. Screw that. The print and play community is fantastic. They're highly supportive, and they're a bunch of brilliant people. And they need products that are definitive print and play products, not just like, oh, by the way, here's all the shit on a sheet, right? So we are setting out on this mission. I mean, it's not really a secret that is a beautiful thing, but I think, I'm not a big believer in the value of ideas nearly as much as I am in their execution. So I'm not too worried about anybody stealing any of our ideas. It's all about how you do it. Cyrus is a world-class, lifetime professional game designer, and I have been doing game art and game design since I was a little kid, and between the two of us, we've really got a lot of thunder to bring to it, and we just want to put it in everybody's hands. It's been so fun seeing people get Daring and Doomed and get the novel and just hear just the smile of it, just the fun and people having fun. It's such a satisfying feeling, and I want to do more of that. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm also going to do a modular Spelljammer construction terrain system. See, it's like this boat has one mast. This one has two. It's going to make some little cannons, and then, a tentacle pops up. This one was going to be like the front of a sort of more of a Viking longboat, but this is just the scroll saw work, so I got a lot more work to do there. Do you prefer more dark and gritty or lighter fantasy? Oh, it's all about rhythm, man. Both. One session light, next one dark. That's the key. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. I'm constantly bored with things in life, so I always have to mix, change all the time. I really want to see this ship be crafted. Dude, if I wasn't like dosed out on hydrocodone right now, I could get into it. I mean, I don't even know if the camera can see. I was going to show you guys some like fluting techniques, just because they're so easy and they make your models look a lot cooler. But I get this Zacto in my hand and I start not feeling so confident. So you just run down the contour like that. Then you go 90 degrees on the side and run the same contour at a comparable depth if my hands will function. Like that. And then the piece will just pop right off. Like that. So you see you get a super nice little edge fluting with only 2 cuts. So you do a bunch of edge fluting on like all your pieces, and they get this very like trimmed look. What a digression. What am I talking about? Well, the best thing about it may not be a ship in the end is that it doesn't have to be. In the end, what I'm really going to have, this is my hull. I'll have like a giant piece of flooring like this, with planks on it. That's it. The rest will all just, like this cabin, will just sit on top. Or these ramparts will just sit right on there. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. That way I can make as many different ships as I want. I can let my players custom build their ship. And it's going to be a blast. Am I going to make a video of building it? I might. Life is getting a little crazy lately. Actually, now that the Daring and the Doom is shipped, things might... Oh, shipped? See what I did there? It's a little esoteric comment. Now that the Daring and the Doomed is out the door, might have more time for making some more of the time-lapsey style edited videos, because I do miss making them. They're real fun. How many DM journals have you filled over the years? Oh my God, that's not a fair question. Maybe 14-ish. I'm almost done with the second one since YouTube started. But one of them's really big. It's a 3-ring binder. I think it's over there somewhere. One of them's really huge from college, where we ran a 3-year campaign that was just ridiculous. That was second edition. That was fantastic. But man, my drawing skills back then were horrible. But even back then, we were using a dot matrix printer to make our own character sheets. It was like 91. Thanks for bumping my question, Greg. Oh, nice. Someone asked a question earlier. I suck at voices. Here's a question. How would you suggest giving real blah, 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 if you can't do voices or accents? That's a good question. It's really hard to do them on the spot. I mean, everybody can do them in their car while they're commuting, but it's very hard to do them on the spot in front of your friends. My answer is you're not going to like it. It's like pick the one that you can do and do it for all your characters, right? So the most often solution I see is like this Cockney accent. So it's like there's a goblin. He runs over the hill and he's like, "Hello, I'm a goblin." And then you go in the tavern and the bartender's like, "Hello, I'm the bartender." And you're like, there's a giant evil vampire with wings growing out of the back of his head, and he flies up in the air and says, "Hello, I'm a giant evil vampire." There you go. So if you can do one voice, at least people know it's not you. So even if your bad voice is like Hoggle from Labyrinth, you'll be like, "Hello, I'm an evil vampire." At least they know that it's not you, and you keep the humor outside the game. So if your lines are dead serious, but your accent is horrible, it's going to go off great. Normal voice, higher, lower, faster, slower. That isn't it. So that would be like me. I'm now an evil vampire. That would be like me. I'm now an evil vampire. Oh yeah, pseudo Scottish is super useful. A lot of my characters actually go at the end of what they say. So they'll be like, "You've got to get into town before all the werewolves arrive because they're going to kill everybody." I don't know why, but it's something that happens all the time. Don't hate Hoggle. I still haven't forgiven him. I know Sarah forgave him, but I don't know if I'm ready to. I tried playing 3rd edition, started noticing we had a roll for everything. I like the basics of Cecil. Yeah, man, John Hart, 2nd edition is the shit. And, I talk about it all the time. You guys can call me old if you want, because I am old. But I still think this is one of, if not the best D&D book ever published. This is when it was magic, man. This is it. This is the shiznat. More detail than you need, but you don't need to use it all. And this was just a great era. I think this is before they really figured out how to get all your money. So you just got a lot in that book. Also, the fortress building in that book is really cool. It's just great. Good night, DFC. I am not enjoying them. I would much rather have a beer. I hate this stuff. Roller point by, hey, if you ask me, we do old school rolling. That's in order, one set. Boom. No min-maxing at all. Roll 3-6. Yeah. Have you ever run a caveman game? Yeah, we've had caveman stuff happen. Definitely. It's fantastic. Super duper fun running primeval type. I was just reading through Primeval Thule. Pretty cool source book. It's very derivative off of Conan, so that's a little disappointing, but has some cool kind of caveman-y parts to it. Percentile dice rolls. Oh man, you want to talk about percentile? Play that Middle-earth role-playing from back in the late 80s, early 90s, man. Woof. Those D100 tables are crazy. I think that I'm winding up here. I think I'm finishing up, guys. I am like woozy. I'm happy though that I managed to talk my way through an hour without my jaw cracking open and spitting blood, although that probably would have gotten a lot of views. Yeah, I splice. That's the most common modern technique, is to use 4 dice and drop the low one. It can be very good, especially if you're new to the game, so you don't wind up with difficult role-playing situation like a fighter with 8 strength. The D100, yeah, the baseball of dice. Well, I think that's about it, guys. I need some couch time. I need to lay down. I need to eat some more chicken soup. And tomorrow morning, they're going to yank this tooth out of my head and put in like some kind of titanium fang back there or something. So I'm going to wind up more powerful. But the road from here to there is going to be tremendously unpleasant. So it's good to sit here and talk about D&D for a little while and charge up first. Great job. I thought you were going to pass out and drool all over your boat. Well, it just would have floated on the drool. That's how realistic the boat is. And yeah, I'll try to get a video of the rest of the crafting involved with making the boat system. It's going to allow 2 modular boats. The boats can also be destroyed. You can knock the masts off. I think it'll be a lot cooler than just making one big boat. Oh, man. And my glue gun's just sitting here on. Look, it's all shiny and gross. There we go. Someday I'll get a button for that thing. But not this day. Yeah, Gabriel, good to see you again. Thanks for coming in again. And man, we're starting to ramp off a little bit. That was another great, 75 people or something. Great to have you guys. Drunkens and Dragons, how to play D&D like a big old badass. I know you guys are all out there doing it. Thanks everybody for all the private messages, all the cool compliments, and especially photos of your own setups. I love seeing that stuff. So great to see everybody out there taking it by the horns and just D&D. Yeah. Get in there and get it done. Let's see if we can keep on growing this channel. 6K is a great milestone. I want to hit 10 by the end of the year. I think at the rate we're going, we could probably be there by summer. So tell your friends and let's all gather around and we'll keep trying to make the channel crazier and crazier. Still need to get that Cintiq direct stream going. We're going to try that one of these days, like the Draw with Jazza channel. And oh yeah, we're also trying to set up a top-down camera setup for a live game transmission of my group so that we don't have to show all my players. We're going to have them kind of obscured off camera, but you can see the gameplay. And you can hear voices. So I think that's going to be a great alternative to what I wanted to avoid, which is kind of like filming my friends for YouTube. I'm not comfortable with that. So we'll see if we can get that set up. We're going to put some recessed lighting in the ceiling, set it up so it fits on the table really good. It should be really awesome. Strength, honor, and critical hits. Ryan Meredith, YouTube brother, get out there, get that work done. Strat Player 05, good to have you, dude. Wunderlich, nice to have you back once again. Thank you, sir. Thanks for all the kind words, everybody. And I gotta get out of here. I think I'm starting to sweat acetaminophen. It's getting a little weird. So I'll see you next week, Tuesday at 8. And maybe get a video up for you guys before then, show some of the paintwork on the boat. Until then, get those groups together, kick some ass, and play D&D like you mean it, baby. Like it's the last time you're ever going to play. All right, so thanks for everybody for showing up. I will see you out on the interweb. Remember to jump on runehammergames.com and Drunkens and Dragons on Facebook. That's really where all the updates are constantly coming. So peace out, guys.